Kratos versus Doomslayer is a hotly debated fight in the versus community. But today, let's switch it up a little bit. Kratos has plowed his way through two godly pantheons at this point, starting out in Greece and then fighting the cold up north. But how would the Doomslayer do in his place? He spent all of eternity battling against demons and the forces of evil. But now he's done fighting demons below and has to battle against the gods above. Can Doomslayer do it? Can he beat all the God of War pantheons? Well, let's find out. Doomguy, also known as the Doom Marine or Doomslayer, is one of the Earth's toughest and mightiest warriors who single-handedly fights against the armies of Hell. In the end of Doom 64, he entered Hell and closed the gateway to the living world in hopes the Earth will be saved, at the cost of Doomguy having to fight demons for all of eternity. Countless centuries later, and through some serious levels of training and experience, he's grown much stronger, to the point where even the strongest demons in existence fear him as the Doomslayer. Now, Doomslayer is stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human, easily being superhuman. He's not just going up against demons. He's even strong enough to knock over bridges with one punch, shatter several tons of stone, obliterate steel doors, or send massive blocks of metal flying across the room with a hit, easily weighing dozens and dozens of tons. But yeah, a lot of what Doomslayer is doing is just punching demons. He's absolutely obliterating them with his punches, tearing demons apart with his bare hands, to the point where it's been said that his hands are actually his most dangerous weapon. He just tends to prefer guns to either kill more demons at once or actually kill the demons slower and make them suffer more. And pretty much all these demons are all insanely tough. Even the weakest of them are said to have skin as strong as iron, bones as strong as steel, and their insides burn as hot as the surface of the sun. And he's popping them like balloons with the slightest touch. And demons only get tougher and tougher from there. Makes no difference to the Doomslayer. He's even done this against the toughest and strongest demons out there, Hell Knights and Cyber Demons and Barons of Hell, all being said to be more powerful than anything on Earth, and even invulnerable to harm. And Doomslayer is wrecking them with his bare hands. Doomslayer is also pretty much nigh indestructible, especially in his Praetorian armor, and after he was enhanced even further by the Divinity Machine, having a shard of the Dark Lord's soul implanted inside of him. He can take attacks from all sorts of demons, even demons powerful enough to create massive earthquakes just by walking, and he's always mostly fine afterwards. He's even been able to survive massive explosions of Argent energy, with Argent energy being described as a boundless power source that gives out infinite energy, and an explosion was seen as a Category 4 dimensional event. Doomslayer took it and was just fine right afterwards. Finally, Doomslayer is more than fast enough to dodge most every attack coming his way. He's fast enough to see the world moving in slow motion around him. Even just traveling throughout Hell might include some impressive speed feats. After all, it's been described as an infinite realm with no true bottom, just an endless void. But probably Doomslayer's greatest attribute is just his sheer stamina. The guy just won't stop fighting, no matter what. Even before Doomguy ever became the Doomslayer, well, he was participating in non-stop action, fighting in several demon wars back to back to back. Just a one-man army, and holding back all the demons all by himself. And then he became the Doom Slayer, and his stamina only got even more impressive. Now he can fight for literally forever, rampaging across hell for all of eternity, never stopping to eat, sleep, or drink, never growing tired, and never actually stopped killing demons the whole time. And don't get me wrong, while Doomslayer can definitely kill demons barehanded, he really prefers using all his many weapons. And thanks to his training with the Night Sentinels, well, it's safe to assume that the Doomslayer is an absolute expert with every weapon that he carries and uses in a fight. His go-to is probably his trusty super shotgun, but it definitely doesn't just stop there. Doomslayer has powerful plasma rifles, cannons and chain guns and rocket launchers, or even his chainsaw, or the Sentinel hammer when he decides to get up close and personal. Doomslayer is without a doubt a one-man killing machine, one of the most powerful and deadliest warriors in all of existence. Now, when we're talking about God of War, there are technically two different pantheons, Greek and Norse, and a whole lot of gods here. Some weaker, some who are really powerful. Like on the lower end of the gods, well, you have people like Modi and Magni from the Norse, or Hercules and Hermes from the Greek pantheon. Not all that impressive, pretty strong, but they were all quickly folded by Kratos. And Doomslayer would tear through these gods just as easily. After all, Doomslayer has some insane feats, like him being able to single-handedly kill the Mother Demon and the Icon of Sin, with the Icon of Sin being powerful enough to straight up destroy planets. His mere presence warping reality and damaging the dimension just by existing within it. Or like when Doomslayer was able to stomp the Arania Imperatix in a fight, which is a mighty god who's able to rule over gods. So yeah, Doomslayer should really have no problem plowing through these lower level gods. And the same applies to the more mid-tier gods as well. I'm talking guys like Heimdall, maybe Ares and Hades. It's honestly kinda hard to gauge what counts as a mid-tier god. But the biggest threats that Slayer has battled over his eternity of fighting, well, they're way more powerful and intimidating than someone like Heimdall. But I do think there comes a point where Doomslayer just has to stop. And that's the big top dogs in God of War. I'm talking guys like Thor, and especially Odin and Zeus. Because the biggest thing going for Doomslayer, what makes this an argument where you can say Slayer is just at an insane power level, is when Doomslayer managed to kill Davos. But first, we gotta answer just who is Davos? In the Doom universe, in the beginning, the void of nothingness was visited by the alien god known as the Father. Where he stepped, reality came to be, and he required a steward for the new worlds that were birthed into being. So, he created Davos, a primeval god, to watch over the world of Jakad and protect its people. But Davos despaired, for the people he was made to watch over withered and died, a fate that he himself could never experience. The Father felt this despair and knew that Davos' attempts to make the people immortal would threaten his own creations, so Jakad was sealed away from the rest of the dimensions in existence. Davos' despair then turned to anger, and soon all of Jakad was corrupted and turned into hell, with Davos becoming the devil. At least that's what the Seraphim race documents and what the Union Aerospace Corporation believes. In reality, Davos was the first being and the true creator of existence. The father, a lesser member of the Maker race, conspired against Davos and sought to use his power to birth many worlds. To do this, the father underwent a ritual to separate Davos' power from his body, leaving his consciousness in an inert object called a life sphere. The father would go on to build new worlds and eventually live amongst humans as the artificial intelligence Vega, while Davos continued to rot in his prison. Eons later, when Hell's forces spilled out onto Earth despite the depowering and exile of their leader, the Doomslayer would find Davos' life sphere, resurrect him, and kill the Hell God once and for all. And yeah, Doomslayer killed Davos, the creator of everything. And that's on top of battling against all the forces of Hell for all of eternity, becoming stronger than all of Hell's forces, killing titans the size of mountains with his bare hands, and battling the Icon of Sin, a World Eater, killing him too. And the claims around Doomslayer are crazy, because he was able to kill Davos, scaling him up to multiversal and even outerversal because of this one feat. And don't get me wrong, it's a crazy impressive feat. But I have a slight problem with this instantly putting Doomslayer up at outerversal levels. Because the way I see it, there's the primeval form of Davos, the god-like form that we see in the Codex entries. And even then, gotta remember that the book follows the lies about Davos propagated by the father, so might not be entirely accurate. But that's where Davos gets a lot of his high-end scaling, saying that he created Hell and him are one, with Hell being multiversal. But even still, that's not the Davos that the Doomslayer fought and killed. He killed Davos' resurrected form. This Davos has been depowered ever since his resurrection by the hands of the Doomslayer, and looks like he lacks most of his primeval form's abilities. He has to wear a suit of battle armor and fights with sword and shield, and it's this form that's killed and defeated by the Slayer. And you just can't scale Davos at his highest to this resurrected form. His resurrected form was said to be weaker. On top of that, Davos' universal, multiversal scaling comes from him creating and ruling Hell, not like shattering universes and multiverses during actual fights. So, a few things in that. Again, Davos was a snap your fingers and create a universe type of guy, but that was way in the distant past. He's no longer at this level in the games, or when he fights Doomslayer. That's confirmed over and over again. He has explicitly been depowered. And I'll do you one better from there. Even if Davos was still multiversal or outerversal while fighting Doomslayer, still doesn't mean that they scale to each other. It's really just meaning that Doomslayer was able to kill a being much more powerful than him. It would be one thing if the Slayer clashed fists with a confirmed multiversal attack from Davos, but it's another thing entirely if the Dark Lord's multiversal power at the time was only creation. And that's if Davos was still at full power. He was depowered while him and Slayer fought. Basically, for as powerful as Doomslayer is, even him beating Davos doesn't put him at a multiversal level, especially since Davos was depowered and all of his high-end defeats are just creation-based. And gods like Thor and Zeus are actually clearly and undeniably multiversal in power and in a fight. I mean, Thor is arguably the strongest god in God of War. He can literally shake the 9 realms with his attacks, which are infinite and ever-expanding realms. And when Thor battled against the World Serpent, well, Thor ended up sending the big snake back in time with his attacks, ended up shattering Yggdrasil, the World Tree. And I mean, being able to shatter Yggdrasil is like one of the greatest strength feats in all of fiction. It literally transcends space-time, supports all of creation, and holds up infinite universes. And Thor broke it in his fight. That's a pretty great strength feat right there, and a true multiversal level attack that we never saw from Davos. And Zeus is also doing similar things, like when he shook the underworld, the foundations of the world, in a whole separate infinite dimension, and he shook it with just his anger alone. I mean, we can't forget the fact that Zeus single-handedly ended the Great War against the Titans. Did it with one shot too, after he created the Blade of Olympus. Remember, the Titans were the previous pantheon of gods in the Greek universe, on par with primordials, who created the universe in the first place, and the Greek gods, and probably even the Norse pantheon too. Zeus, with the Blade of Olympus that he created from his own power, essentially one-shotted them all at once. Beating gods like that just comfortably outside the realm of anything we've seen from Doomslayer, even counting him killing Davos, a weaker and depowered Davos, mind you. Doomslayer would definitely tear his way through a lot of the gods in both pantheons, but once he runs into the true top dogs and the godheads, well, I don't think he's winning it all. Don't think he can completely pull off a Kratos and finish this gauntlet.